Catherine with Colorado Yard Care, and today I'm going to show you how to cut back Russian sage in spring. So as you can see, this is a Russian sage plant, and keep in mind it's a subshrub. So what that means is that the bottom of the plant stays alive from year to year, and then it dies back from the tips of the branches back to somewhere in the middle of the stem over the winter time. So let's just take a look. If you break this off, see how it's really dry and brittle? That means it's dead. And we'll keep going down the stem, still dead. And then when we get somewhere down, to the middle of the plant or a little bit farther, it's flexible, and that means that that portion of the plant is still alive. So if you don't do anything to cut back Russian sage, what happens is that the new growth comes up from the lower branches and mixes with all the dead growth up top, and it looks like you've got green and brown stems mixing together. So our goal here is to take off all the dead growth while preserving the integrity of the shrub. So there's really two ways to approach it. Let's talk about the first way. The first way is to cut off the dead portion from that died over the winter and preserve the part of the shrub that's still alive. So with that, what you would do is you come in and you look for a set of tiny leaves and just cut off the stem right there. So once again, we look for the set of leaves that are just about to come out and cut right above. And see, that just removes the old portion of the stem that's dead. And you do that across all these branches. You can use this method anytime, even if the leaves have already started to emerge on the plant. So say you're coming in May or even June and you're a little late cutting everything back. Well, you can still do this method because you're not really cutting into live wood. You're just cutting off the dead portion. So once you've already cut off all the dead portions of the stem, then what you want to do is come back into the plant and cut off any stems that are too tall or too short so the plant looks more symmetrical. So here we have one on the outside. Let's just bring this down a little bit. Any exterior stems, just bring them in slightly so they're not sticking out way far along the plant. And this just makes the plant seem a little bit more spherical, symmetrical, and tidy. This is also a really good method to use if you live in a high elevation area or a cold part of Colorado where things take a really long time to grow. This preserves all of the growth that you've got last year, but cleans the shrub up. Okay, so let's talk about method two. Method two is where we just come into the shrub and essentially cut all of these stems back to ground level. And this can seem really scary to do if you've never done it before, but it works really well, and here's why. If you look at the base of this shrub, you can see that we've used this method on this plant before. These were the old woody stems that were getting really thick and old. And see, what happened is that after we cut it back, we got new growth coming from the base of the plant, and these stems were nice and fresh and very straight, and it makes the plant look rejuvenated. So if you want to use this method, what you do is you just bring your pruners and essentially just cut off all these stems right at ground level. Don't worry about leaving 2 to 3 inches of stem sticking up. It's not necessary because the plant regrows from the crown, which is right at ground level. So just be bold and come in and take everything off. You could use this method if you need to rejuvenate a plant that's gotten really old, or you can use this method on Russian sage every growing season. And it'll keep everything looking fresh and clean. All right, that's the second method. If you're going to use that method, make sure that you cut off the stems before the leaves come out in spring. So you need to get to that by, say, March or the first part of April. So when you're cutting back Russian sage and you're deciding which method to use, keep in mind that you can alternate between methods as you see fit. So if you have a plant that really needs to be rejuvenated, feel free to cut it back to ground level. And if the year after that you want to instead just cut it back to the live growth, that works as well. And so don't feel like you're locked into one method year after year. You can switch around. Okay everybody, that's how you cut Russian sage back in spring. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was useful to you. If you find these videos useful, please click the subscribe button and we'll see you again next time.